Hello again. Tonight we're going to take a trip to a place called Snowville. It's no exaggeration to say that it's one of the coziest places on Earth. Everything about this little town could have been designed to make you feel as though you'd arrived in the pages of a children's picture book. The spires and domes and twinkling lights, the winter market and the carousel. But the most amazing thing is that it all happened that way, quite naturally. Quite by accident, in fact. It's reassuring to know that places like this still exist. Before we begin, I think it's nice to start with a quick wind down. Tonight's wind down is a visualization. So when you're ready, let's begin. So just lying flat on your back, just feeling the weight of the body against the bed, and taking a big, deep breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe out, just leaving the day behind and just feeling the weight of the body sinking into the bed beneath you. Noticing how the body feels, noticing any areas of tension. And we're just going to bring our attention to each part of the body. And as we do, just imagining that the muscles are switching off, shutting down for the night, just ensuring that the body is at ease and at rest. So just starting down at the toes, imagining those muscles just switching off now. And in the feet, the arches, the heels, the ankles, just switching off. The lower half of the legs, just switching off. Upper half of the legs, the hips, pelvis, just switching off any tension, just disappearing as the muscles relax. The stomach and the lower back, any muscles, just switching off. The middle of the back, diaphragm, just switching off any muscles that don't need to be used. The chest and the upper back. Again, just imagining those muscles switching off for the night. The muscles in the shoulders now, the upper arms, just switching off. Forearms, switching off. The hands, the fingers, and the thumbs, switching off. Any muscles in the neck, throat, again, just releasing as they switch off. Any muscles in the head, the face, behind the mouth, the nose, the eyes, just switching off for the night, so the entire body at ease, at rest. Just feeling the weight of the body pressing down into the bed, allowing thoughts to come and go. Now you're nice and relaxed. Nestled in the mountains, overlooking a forested valley and a gleaming ribbon of river, Snowville is a beautifully preserved medieval town, renowned for its festive night market. On a snowy winter's evening, it's one of the best places to be. From a distance, the town is first a sprinkling of light, and then a warm glow, tucked into the mountain's shadowy slopes. The headlights of the car that brought you here illuminated a beautiful stone archway with what looked like a bell tower on top. Somewhere as special as Snowville has to have a special entrance. When the car passed through the archway, you became aware of an atmosphere, a feeling romantic, mysterious, and comforting all at once. And when you opened the door and got out, it was as if you'd stepped out into a fairy tale. You're strolling down a narrow cobbled street. There's a nip in the air for sure, and most of the roofs are still layered with snow, but you're cozy in your winter coat and scarf. You notice many of the stores have these incredible wrought iron signs hanging above their doorways. They're guild signs dating from medieval times. They spell out the name of the premises or the type of business with some kind of emblem. Here's one for a locksmith. It has a golden key hanging from it. The bracket holding the sign to the front of the building is wonderfully ornate, embellished with leaf motifs and curlicues. Here's another, which shows a pig and a little girl in silhouette. This charming pair sits in the center of an iron ring, with a further ring of spirals around it. Now that you're looking for them, you notice these signs everywhere, all along the street. And in the distance, beyond the town, you can just make out the snowy mountain peaks. And above them, a crescent moon, looking magical. Does the moon ever not look magical? As you're wandering around the town, you notice a set of stone steps leading upwards. Just like the streets, these steps have been thoroughly de-iced. You take hold of the sturdy wooden banister and ascend to find yourself on the town's ramparts, a stone walkway circling the walls of the town. It's lit by lanterns, affording you a wonderful view of the town at night. The pointed roofs of the houses seem to jostle together at this height, some still coated with small drifts of snow, some releasing little puffs of smoke from their chimneys. The cobbled texture of the small round tiles on some of the roofs almost makes them look knitted. On the streets below, you can see people wandering about in woolly hats, peering into shop windows, sampling local delicacies, and celebrating their finds with each other. The ramparts, though, are quiet, and you stand still to enjoy this peaceful moment, looking up at the night sky, which is a deep, dark blue, splashed with stars. Here's a store with a display of cuckoo clocks in the window. Their long pendulums, which hang from the base of each clock, swing back and forth. Beautifully carved out of wood, these clocks look like miniature chalets. The one you're looking at has tiny crisscross windows with red shutters, and a balcony across the front above the clock face, with two colourful figures standing on it. The painted details on these figures are such that you can see one has a red waistcoat with white buttons, and the other is wearing a green dress. At the base of the clock are trees and the figure of a woodcutter, who looks like he might leap into action when the hour strikes. Just as you're about to turn away, the clock chimes. Sure enough, the woodcutter lifts his axe, bends to chop wood, and straightens again. Meanwhile, the two figures shoot out of their balcony, bow to each other, and then retake their places. Perfect timing. You're standing in the town square. The snow has been cleared from the ground for the benefit of pedestrians, and you can feel the cobbles under your boots. Directly in front of you is a huge building, which you assume must be the town hall. It boasts several turrets. If your eyes don't deceive you, it's evening after all, and those spires are some way up. It looks as though there's a small triangular flag flying from each one. It wouldn't be a surprise to find out that a fairy tale princess lived here. The town hall has a great number of windows, including about 8 peeping up out of the roof, which is dusted with a light layer of snow. The rows of windows twinkle in the darkness, like candles on an elaborate cake. It's only a building, of course, but you sense a benevolence and kindliness emanating from the town hall. It's glad to see you. Attracted by faint strains of fairground music, you wander over to a rather beautiful carousel, which occupies one corner of the town square. As you approach, you take in its parasol-like top, in candy cane stripes, rising to a point in the center. All around the edges of this top, like a kind of crown, are a series of modeled crests, depicting faces with bright eyes and red cheeks inside baroque golden frames. Beneath the crests, the red and white stripes descend into an awning, with a gently undulating hem which flutters a little with the motion of the carousel. And beneath that, there are the painted horses gliding up and down. Standing in front of the carousel now, you watch a little girl with flushed cheeks, holding tight to the spiral pole rising from the neck of a dappled white and grey horse. The horse's painted bridle is electric blue, and its body is decorated with pink and yellow flowers and green leaves, as though it was wreathed in foliage for a celebration. The girl's expression is rapt as our horse rises and falls. Every now and then she pats its sculpted mane with a mittened hand and praises it for making this epic journey, saying, "What a good horse." The night market occupies one side of the town square. The stalls are enclosed in wooden huts decorated with fairy lights and sprigs of fir. You stroll towards the stalls, taking in the sounds and smells, sugar and pastry, spices, sizzling sausages, snatches of festive music, and the low hubbub of market-goers. Here's a stall selling mulled wine. The deep pots the wine is prepared in send up clouds of steam as the stall holders ladle mugful after mugful for their customers. A gaggle of well-wrapped-up people stand in front of the stall, clutching their mugs, which are shaped like boots in gloved hands. You don't even have to taste it. Just the smell of the wine, with its notes of orange, cinnamon and cloves, is heady and warming. You breathe in deeply. The next stall specializes in deep-fried balls of sweet pastry. You watch the stall holder rolling out an oblong of dough. Now he swiftly cuts it into strips and gathers it into a ball. He's used to being watched while he works, so he performs each action with a small flourish. Just before you move on, he looks up, catches your eye, inclines his head, and doffs his white baker's cap as if to say, "Thanks for stopping by." One of the many special things about this town is its lights. Everywhere you go, you find fairy lights cascading from buildings or illuminating your path through an ivy-covered archway. There are trees strung with lights, and lights running up poles, and the dazzling fairground lights of the carousel. There are the beaming store windows, and the warm lights blooming from the upper story windows, as if the building's occupants might be having a cozy night in around a fire. The lights alone in this town would be enough to hold anyone's attention as you stroll through the streets and square, every now and then stopping in front of a window display or a stall to take in some new delight. Like this stall selling silver candle holders with a lacy design cut into them. The glow of the candlelight showing off the silhouettes of the designs, a leaping fawn or a motif of stars, which shine out into the night. Now your eye is caught, dazzled actually, by what seems to be a gift store. The whole building is swathed in fairy lights. They run along the edges of its pointed roof, picking out a perfect triangle, and curve around each window, so that from a distance, it looks like a child's drawing of a house glowing in the dark. There are a number of people milling about in front of the store, gazing in. You join them, all of you transfixed by the window display. It shows a miniature town, one that looks rather familiar. Of course, it's a miniature version of this town, made up of detailed porcelain model houses, laid out on 3 levels on a white cloth. It's so convincing, you might imagine you're viewing a real town from the air, nestled among the snowy slopes of a mountain. All the houses have steep pointed roofs, just like the real houses here, with their timber framework neatly painted on in chocolate brown. They almost look good enough to eat. Each house contains some sort of light source within, so their small windows glow enchantingly. Here and there, model people stand about in their model hats and gloves, taking a stroll around their little Snowville, just as you're taking a stroll around yours. A light snow has started falling now, and the people around you quicken their pace, bundling in closer under awnings, stomping the snow off their boots as they enter the town's guest house, presumably to partake of some warming repast. It's a half-timbered building with wonky beams and sleepy-looking leaded windows. Each time the door opens, there's a faint burst of an enclosed sound being briefly set free before the peaceful atmosphere that the snow has brought resumes. Smudged by the snow flurry, the lights decorating the town are becoming muzzy, losing their sharp edges. You snuggle more deeply into your scarf, preparing to head indoors. But first you can't resist looking up at the gathering whiteness brightening the dark. As you do, one or two snowflakes alight on your cheek, gently, like a goodnight kiss.